As if all the reasons in this playlist aren't enough to make you call Highlands Ranch home, let's talk 5 more great reasons. Hey everybody, it's Alyson Wahl with Live South Denver, your real estate strategist and realtor for the South Denver area. Having lived in Highlands Ranch for 10 years and raised our kids there when they were little, I have this crazy soft spot in my heart for Highlands Ranch. And I have talked about the parks and the trails and the neighborhoods in other videos that I have done, and I will link to that playlist at the end of this video so that you don't have to go back to that link at the front. But today we're going to talk about 5 more reasons to love Highlands Ranch. Now, the first great reason is actually a bit controversial, and it is the fact that there is no new construction in Highlands Ranch. Not having any new construction in the community means that existing homes aren't competing against new construction. And in a community like Highlands Ranch with a great reputation, this is fantastic for resale values down the road. For some of you who maybe haven't owned a home before, that might seem like a big leap. But when I look at areas like Castle Rock, where there is a lot of new construction going on, and I have clients who are trying to sell their existing home, I've just gone through this with a few, the struggle to compete price-wise on the existing home when the deals were so abundant with the new construction, it made it hard for my existing home clients. They really felt like they had to slash their home price to get out in the time frame they wanted. Now, if they had maybe waited until the market picked back up, it could have been a different story. But when you want to sell when you want to sell and you're competing against builders, it can be a little bit more difficult. So Highlands Ranch, when it's locked into this bubble of no new construction in all existing homes, it makes it easier for resale to see your home values stay on a bit more level playing field. That's not the only plus to it though, right? You don't have big machinery trekking through your neighborhood. You've got mature trees. I mean, Highlands Ranch is over 40 years old on the old side and 15 to 20 on the newer side. The parks are mature, the trees are mature. It feels lovely. It has character. The community feels established. You don't feel like when you drive from one side of the neighborhood or community to the other, one part is barren and one part feels done. There's just a steadiness to it. Now, on the controversial side of it, there are people who just really want new construction and find a lot of value in getting a brand new home. You can't do that in Highlands Ranch. Now, there was a Taylor Morrison set of homes that built just the other year. That land was not really Highlands Ranch land, but they got all the amenities and access to Highlands Ranch and have a Highlands Ranch address now. And I do know of a couple little pockets where there are some eyeballs on it to add some homes. The homes around there will be very sad because that's land that doesn't have anything on it that homes look onto. But really, for the most part, there's just nothing left for new construction in Highlands Ranch. So it does make it hard for people who want new build. And in fact, that is why my family moved out of Highlands Ranch so many years ago. We were a young, busy family with young kids, and the idea of taking on a potential project home in Highlands Ranch that fit our budget was utterly unappealing. So we moved not very far away, got a new build house with no projects, and it was turnkey and fantastic. And that is sometimes an option that buyers do. They trade off the location to go for convenience. I will tell you, I would move back into Highlands Ranch in a heartbeat. And my life's different now. I don't have small kids. I have kids that could actually help with projects and make design choices, and it would be fantastic. The number 2 reason to love Highlands Ranch, it has a strong homeownership to tenant ratio. The homeownership rate in Highlands Ranch is estimated to be at 80%, while the tenant ratio would be 20%. That puts Highlands Ranch in the top 5 for homeownership to tenant ratio. We've got parts of town around Denver that we've got tenant ratios that are nearly 50%, meaning the homeownership ratios are only 53, 58, 55%. So we've got tenant ratios in the high 40s. So with Highlands Ranch being at 80, putting them in the top 5, this is a really strong number. We actually don't have a town with over 90% home ownership rate in the Denver metro area. We push about 88, 89% in the South Denver metro area. So really strong home ownership rates across South Denver. Highlands Ranches is really good. Now, even in Highlands Ranch, is it possible to live next to someone who doesn't know how to or doesn't care to? weed their yard, mow their yard, put their trash cans away, choose to park their cars in the garage but use the street instead? Yes, absolutely. But typically you find those challenges in areas with dense renter populations, and we have the Highlands Ranch HOA to back up and support to get rid of some of these exterior home value detractors. So speaking of the Highlands Ranch HOA, this takes me to point number 3. The Highlands Ranch HOA and Metro District are the number 3 perk plus to living in Highlands Ranch. I would call the Highlands Ranch HOA and Metro District a well-run HOA and Metro District. Now, some might call that a controversial statement as well, or a hot take. There are certainly folks who do not like the HOA. They do not like the fact that they've gotten a letter saying replace the concrete in your driveway, paint your house. I think anytime you get a letter from your HOA asking you for a large capital expenditure, it puts them on your bad list. But if you look at 3 things, it's hard to argue against the HOA and the Metro District. 1, they have good financials. The Metro District has actually already paid off all of their debt. As of 2021, the Metro District debt is gone. And the Highlands Ranch HOA and all of the amenities that it provides, the fences it maintains, the green space, the trees, all of that is maintained on an HOA of less than $700 per year per household. 2, the community shows extremely well. Again, all of the fences that are maintained, the trees that are maintained, the open space. Now, not all of that open space is only maintained by the HOA or Metro District, but much of it is. And they do a fantastic job. They have to come through and plow the common space trails. They've got to maintain dog parks. There is a lot that they do, and it is generally very well cared for. And 3, there is not a lot of tension between the HOA and the homeowners. Sure, there's some. There's always some. There's always some homeowners, and there are always some issues where you don't feel the HOA has handled a matter fairly, or they've had an overzealous person who goes out on behalf of the HOA, or there's some issues. But there are other HOAs where I hear a lot more challenges. I was just talking with a client of mine about a status letter. So we're in the middle of a sale, we have the status letter, and there's a violation on the status letter, so my seller needs to handle that. She called the HOA, we're working through it, and she's going to handle it. This is not the issue with my client, but in discussing with the buyer's agent who lives in this area as well, my client was frustrated with the HOA and the fact that the same violation was on there when she purchased the house a few years ago, got it removed, no problem. Instead of having the seller fix it, they waived it, and now are putting it back on my seller and won't waive it. And then my client said to me, oh my goodness, we get so many messages from the HOA about how folks need to stop harassing the people who are coming out and giving notices. And if the people are abusive anymore, they're going to start calling the cops again. And so you sense this underlying consistent and pervasive level of tension. Now, neighborhood homeowners don't call the cops on the HOA unless they feel abused, unless something's going on, right? That is not something that's going on in Highlands Ranch. This is a completely different neighborhood in a different place. And so with that background, you kind of look at this and go, yeah, I'd way rather live here. I'd way rather live in a place where I feel like there's not tension, where people aren't saying, you don't call the cops. Well, you get off my property, I'm going to call the cops. We want peaceful, right? And I actually get this question a lot. I'm not going to move into a place where I'm under the thumb and I'm harassed. So perk number 4 is low property taxes. Now, low compared to what? Well, I'm going to compare it to new construction. A home in Highlands Ranch is probably going to have a property tax rate that runs somewhere around 6.5% compared to the purchase price. Now, purchase price is not how the tax assessors do it, but it's a good rough thing for you to run when you're looking online. But if you go look at new construction, you're going to be somewhere around double that rate. 1.1, 1.2, somewhere in there. So Highlands Ranch feels like a steal of a deal when it comes to property taxes. And then perk number 5 is location. There are so many components of the location piece and benefit of being in Highlands Ranch. First, it's location just within the South Denver area. Highlands Ranch gets you a 20-minute shorter commute in and out of the mountains versus being in Parker or Castle Rock. So if you're a regular mountain goer, while the 20 minutes isn't life or death when you've already done 2 hours, it's nice. It's a perk for sure. Highlands Ranch puts you right next to Santa Fe Drive going north into downtown. It puts you close to Broadway. If, say, you commute up to Swedish for work, or you want to take Broadway and the slow non-highway way up into downtown. You're right on the C470 corridor, so you can head west or east easily. And now that there is a toll road there, if you're open to taking that, it absolutely cuts down on your commute time during traffic. Highlands Ranch has great views. There are so many places that you can buy a home with a view, or just get out and hike and walk and enjoy the outdoors and catch the snow caps. That is not something you get everywhere in Denver, and they absolutely are available in Highlands Ranch, and it's lovely. Love it. The sunsets, the sunrises, the mountain views, the trails, it's fantastic. There is minimal power line exposure. So I talk a lot about this in the videos, right? That you don't want to be in a location near busy roads and power lines. So you mitigate that a lot in Highlands Ranch. It's really set back off of most major roads. Now, there are thoroughfares through the community, so we are still watching about how close you are to the larger roads, but power lines are generally a non-issue in here. Top-rated schools abound. There are 4 high schools across Highlands Ranch. 3 of those 4 are rated 9 and 10. And I feel like everything is convenient in Highlands Ranch. When we lived there, I had 3 grocery stores within 3 minutes. The library and what we called the library park, that's not the name, but that's how the kids and I talked about it. It's the park next door, was 3 minutes away. As a young, busy mom with little kids, which was our family structure when we lived in Highlands Ranch, that part of our life, being at the library and at the park, was the core of our weekend and evening activities. There are water features and structures to climb on, and plants and trails, and you can see butterflies and have green open space. It was a wonderful place to be. 2 minutes out our front door, we could catch a trail and get out to some walking areas. We could get to a dog park. We could meander for miles on the trail system. I had a Whole Foods within 5 minutes, and most people in Highlands Ranch can get to Whole Foods in 5 to 7 minutes. The Target is 5 minutes away. The farmer's market is 4 to 5 minutes away every Sunday. I really felt like all of our life was right within a 5-minute radius for generally everything that we needed, and I loved it. Even actually the other day, this memory popped up. Our kids were sitting in leaves and throwing leaves on each other. They were little, I mean like 4 and 3. And it was under some mature trees right around the corner from our house. And I bring that up, one, because it was a sweet memory, but where we live now, our neighborhood is 10 years old, and we are just starting to get to the place where we could find trees mature enough that if we had little ones, we could take pictures with our kids under some trees with falling leaves. So it really does have just a lot of overall character and life-giving nature to it. Last, the amenities. That's part of the location goodness of Highlands Ranch. With the Metro District and the HOA providing the 4 rec centers, the pools, indoor, outdoor, batting cages, fitness center, tennis courts, pickleball courts, rock climbing wall, classes for kids, classes for adults, on and on and on, the amenities are a huge draw. If you'd like to chat about Highlands Ranch or your favorite South Denver area, please reach out. You know I want to connect. And I will see y'all next week.